Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video, and I swear Screen Rant loves to piss me off a little bit. Because they constantly refer to the 80s Turtles as the 90s Turtles. Why? Because, the 80s Turtles so happened to end in 96 and you want to call them the 90s Turtles fans? No. They're the 80s Turtles fans. Get it right. Some of them might have been 90s kids by the time they knew what the Ninja Turtles were, but technically, people who are fans of the 1987, is it 7 film? Yeah, 1987 series, or 90s, or 80s Turtles film fans, unless they are talking about the 90s movie, which is totally different. But based on the image that I'm seeing right now, they're talking about the 80s series, which I try not to be technical in too many places, but Ninja Turtles is one of those places that I'm very technical in, and I get very annoyed when they say, "Oh yeah, the fans of the 80s series is 90s fans." No, because there is a 90s trilogy. There is a 1987 show. There's even a 90s Ninja Turtles show that only lasted one season. That's called Next Mutation. Get it fucking right, people. God damn it. That's my pet peeve with Screen Rant. Is they constantly call the 80s Turtles the 90s Turtles when the 90s Turtles are technically the Next Mutation Turtles. If we talk about shows and movies, it's the 90s trilogy. Anyways, sorry for the 2-minute rant. I do apologize. Let's get into this article. That apparently some Ninja Turtle fans were robbed of Splinter's secret mutant power. Secret. Which I feel like they kind of first shadowed in the series, but let's see what they are talking about, shall we? Mutants in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe aren't usually granted superhero abilities like those of other franchises, though that didn't stop Master Splinter from obtaining his own powers. Unfortunately for 80s TMNT fans, they were robbed from seeing in the classic cartoon, as this particular power wouldn't be utilized in the fullest extent until the current continuity of IDW's publishing TMNT comic book series. And they even acknowledged too, furthering my point about the 2-minute rant that I was on, about they were robbed of seeing this in the classic cartoon. Classic cartoon. What do you think is a classic cartoon? What is the first thing as an Ninja you think of as a classic cartoon? The 80s cartoon, right? The one that was showcased in 1987, that ended in 1996. It's not it might have bled into the 90s, but again, it's originated in the 80s. It's called the 80s cartoon. A lot of people and their mothers refer to that as the 80s show, especially since there was a 90s show called Next Mutation that was dog shit, and then there was the 2003 show which was great, 2012 show that was great. The Rise Turtles, which came on 2016 approximately, that was And now we're going to get another Ninja Turtle show that's coming out probably next year. If not 2 years from now, if the current strikes don't stop. But God, this is annoying me. If I'm referring to the classic fans of the classic cartoons and 90s fan. No! 80s fan, get it right. Please and thank you. Anyways, sorry. I get really passionate about this type of stuff. I'm sorry. Anyways, the mutants that exist in TMNT are mostly former humans or animals that took on the major trait of the other. For instance, the Ninja Turtles themselves originated as regular turtles until they were mutated and became anthropomorphic. Meanwhile, Bebop and Rocksteady were originally humans who mutated into humanoid rhinos and a humanoid warthog. In both cases, however, the mutants in question didn't receive any special powers, aside from perhaps heightened strength and agility. which is something that was noted by Jenica during her mutation. But that wasn't the case for Master Splinter, as he was granted superhuman abilities beyond physical strength or speed. Master Splinter was secretly telepathic. In the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 100, by Kevin Eastman and a few other people, the Ninja Turtles are fighting a battle with literal demons that were being led by an undead, corrupted Shredder, and the evil deity Kitsune. I probably butchered the name, so I do apologize. While the Turtles are putting up a solid fight, the forces of evil were simply too strong for them to contend with, meaning the end of the road as they knew it was about to be upon them. But Master Splinter reached out with the other Turtles with his mind and gave them guidance to help them survive the battle. Not only that, but Splinter used his telepathy to speak with the uncorrupted part of the Shredder, and together they found a way to save the world for the price of Splinter's life. Splinter made the ultimate sacrifice for his sons and his planet, and while the sacrifice has not gone unremembered, it wasn't the most significant aspect of his appearance in this issue. Splinter has accessed the astral plane before, and in extreme cases, like even used it to communicate with his sons from far away. He has never used it like this. Splinter was able to get a clear picture of the battlefield with his mind, communicate with all four of his sons, plus Seneca, and a piece of Shredder's undying soul, while being able to come up with a plan to save the world single-handedly. This is more than a guided journey of the soul. This was literally Splinter being able to communicate in his mind, which is a power that is currently unique to him alone. Jedi, come to Earth. Go to New York. Found a freaking Jedi for you. You're welcome. Anyways. Before the issue, Splinter's telepathic abilities weren't used often. When they were, it was hardly worth mentioning, as a meditative practice behind the uses of his power made it seem like a spiritual journey through another realm than legitimate telepathy. However, this issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles proves that Splinter's access to the astral plane does grant him actual telepathic powers. One that the 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the fans of the 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon were totally robbed of seeing. Like I said, I've always felt in the 80s cartoon. It's not the 90s cartoon, get a straight screen, it's the 80s cartoon. In the 80s cartoon, it was always like, there is signs, fake signs that like Splinter was telepathic, but I think they're right. They never like honed into that, and I don't know. I would have loved to have seen a telepathic Master Splinter. I think that would be pretty cool. And this issue, he's making the ultimate sacrifice. Dude, that's awesome. Like, not awesome in the fact that he's losing his life per se, but awesome that he is being selfless and is willing to put his life down so his sons and the rest of the world can continue to live. Like, Splinter's a badass. He don't need any introduction. Splinter is a bad freaking ass. Anyways, what do you beautiful people have to say? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. I will talk to you beautiful human beings later. Later, taters.